For years, they protected a corrupt official, shielding them from accountability and allowing their wrongdoing to go unchecked. But they never expected someone like you, someone with unwavering determination and courage, to rise up and confront the truth. When you faced that official, everything changed. The power that once seemed untouchable crumbled in the light of your relentless pursuit of justice. The corrupt official, who had operated with impunity for so long, was broken beyond repair. Your actions didn't just expose their crimes, they ended their reign and ensured they would never recover. If you believe in standing up to corruption and holding those in power accountable, hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers, and leave a comment to show your support. Together we can make sure that no one remains above the law. For years, this corrupt official lived behind an impenetrable wall of influence, surrounded by allies who turned a blind eye to the damage inflicted on innocent lives. Their power was a fortress built on deception, lies, and carefully crafted illusions. Those who could have held them accountable were either too afraid or too complicit to act. The system itself seemed designed to protect the corrupt, making it nearly impossible for the truth to break through. But then came you, a force of nature that no one expected. You refused to accept the status quo, to let silence and fear continue shielding injustice. Your courage didn't come from an abstract ideal. It was born out of real pain and personal loss, a burning fire that compelled you to act. You became the living proof that no fortress, no matter how fortified, is invulnerable to relentless truth. With every step you took, you chipped away at the walls of protection. Your determination pierced through the shadows where corruption thrived. The protectors who once felt invincible now trembled in the face of your unwavering resolve. You shattered the illusion that power could shield wrongdoing indefinitely. What was once hidden in darkness was dragged into the unforgiving light, and there was no turning back. This wasn't just a battle against one person. It was a war against a culture of silence, fear, and complicity. You became a beacon for those who had lost hope, inspiring others to believe that accountability was possible. The corrupt official's shield cracked because you dared to stand where others faltered, exposing a truth too potent to ignore. Ultimately, your fight revealed something profound. Power built on injustice is fragile. When confronted with unwavering bravery and integrity, it crumbles. You were that reckoning, the storm that shattered the false sense of security and sent a clear message: corruption will not endure forever. Behind closed doors, the corrupt officials' crimes were countless, meticulously concealed beneath layers of deceit. These weren't simple mistakes or minor lapses in judgment. They were deliberate acts of greed, exploitation, and betrayal of public trust. From siphoning public funds to manipulating laws for personal gain, their misdeeds touched every corner of the community they were supposed to serve. The complexity of their wrongdoing made it almost invisible to outsiders. Complex financial transactions, falsified records, and silent agreements created a web so intricate that few dared to even try to untangle it. The damage was real. Schools underfunded, infrastructure neglected, families left vulnerable. But the culprits continued their charade behind a carefully constructed facade. Yet the true horror was not just in the crimes themselves, but in how long they remained hidden. The corrupt official enjoyed years of impunity, while those affected suffered quietly, afraid to speak up or powerless to intervene. This invisibility bred frustration, despair, and a deep sense of injustice in the hearts of many. Your arrival disrupted this delicate balance. You refused to be blinded by the facade or silenced by fear. Piece by piece, you uncovered the hidden truths, exposing the full extent of the corruption. Every revelation was a blow to the untouchable image, a spotlight on the crimes that had festered in the shadows. This exposure was more than just a victory for justice. It was a lifeline for those betrayed by the system. Your work gave voice to the voiceless and hope to the forgotten, reminding everyone that no crime, no matter how well hidden, can escape the light forever. It's often said that silence is complicity, and nowhere was this truer than in the years when the corrupt officials' actions were shielded by those who should have intervened. Powerful allies, bureaucrats, and influencers chose convenience over conscience. They closed their eyes, covered their ears, and turned their backs, enabling corruption to flourish unchecked. This complicity wasn't always born from greed alone. Other times, it was willful ignorance, a refusal to face uncomfortable truths that could unravel their own position. But regardless of the motive, the result was the same. An environment where wrongdoing was tolerated and even encouraged. The human cost of this silence was devastating. Families were robbed of resources, communities were betrayed, and trust in institutions eroded. The system, once meant to protect the vulnerable, became a tool of oppression. Those who suffered in silence carried the invisible scars of neglect and broken promises. You shattered this cycle. By speaking out, you challenged not only the corrupt official, but also the culture of silence that sustained them. Your courage forced others to confront their own roles, whether through action or inaction, in allowing corruption to persist. You broke the silence, sparking conversations that had long been suppressed. In doing so, you didn't just hold one person accountable. You ignited a movement for transparency and integrity. Your bravery reminded everyone that change begins when people refuse to be silent bystanders and instead become active champions of justice. Silence has a way of protecting the guilty by creating a cloak of invisibility around their actions. In the world of corruption, this silence is a powerful weapon, one that guards criminals from exposure and allows injustice to thrive without consequence. For years, this silence acted like an impenetrable shield around the corrupt official, muffling cries for justice and drowning out the voices of the oppressed. But silence is not invincible. Courage, especially when born from deep personal pain and conviction, has the power to shatter even the most fortified walls. You understood that breaking the chains of silence was the first, most critical step towards dismantling corruption. It meant speaking uncomfortable truths, risking everything to expose realities many preferred to ignore. Your voice became a beacon of hope for those trapped in fear and silence. With every word you spoke, you ignited sparks of bravery in others. You turned whispered suspicions into loud declarations. You transformed fear into empowerment. The chains that once bound the community's conscience began to break. This wasn't just about exposing crime. It was about restoring humanity and dignity to those who had been silenced. The act of speaking out reverberated beyond the courtroom or news headlines. It healed wounds, inspired change, and reignited faith in justice. In standing against silence, you proved that courage is contagious. You taught the world that while silence may temporarily protect the guilty, it will never stop the determined from seeking truth. And in that truth lies the power to break every chain. No one saw it coming, the relentless force you would become, like an invisible storm gathering strength far beyond the horizon. Your determination built quietly but powerfully. The corrupt official and their protectors believed their position was unassailable, their crimes hidden beneath layers of control and complacency. But storms don't ask permission. They arrive unannounced, shaking foundations and tearing down facades. Your courage was that storm, unpredictable, unstoppable, and overwhelming. Each action you took, each truth you unveiled, was a thunderclap that echoed through the halls of power, leaving those who once felt untouchable scrambling to hold on to their fading control. The storm you brought wasn't born of anger alone. It was fueled by empathy, justice, and an unshakable commitment to righting wrongs. You channeled pain into purpose, transforming personal wounds into a force for collective healing. This storm was not destructive for destruction's sake. It was a cleansing tempest, sweeping away corruption and hypocrisy. Those who underestimated you learned the hard way that power built on fear is fragile. Your rise was unexpected because it came from the courage of one who refused to accept injustice as inevitable. You became a symbol of hope for many, proof that one voice, one relentless spirit can topple giants. In the aftermath, the landscape was forever changed. The storm passed, but its impact endured, reminding everyone that no matter how secure corruption appears, there is always a reckoning waiting on the horizon. Pain is often seen as a weakness, something to hide or overcome quietly. But you took your pain and transformed it into a source of relentless strength. The wounds inflicted by injustice didn't break you. They forged you into something stronger, a warrior of truth whose fire could never be extinguished. Every scar, every memory of betrayal became fuel for your fight. This transformation wasn't easy. It demanded courage to face your own vulnerabilities, to revisit moments that threatened to consume you with despair. Yet, instead of allowing pain to silence you, you made it your battle cry. Your personal suffering gave you an intimate understanding of the cost of corruption, making your mission deeply personal and fiercely urgent. Turning pain into power means refusing to be a victim in the narrative of injustice. It means rewriting the story so that your voice is not drowned by sorrow, but amplified by resolve. You took your hurt and built a foundation of resilience so strong that nothing, not threats, not setbacks, not fear, could shake you. Your journey is a testament to human strength, the ability to rise from the darkest valleys and stand unyielding in the face of evil. Others who suffer see in you a reflection of their own struggles and find hope that they too can overcome. You became a living example that pain, when harnessed, can create unstoppable force. Ultimately, your power wasn't just about winning a battle. It was about inspiring a movement. You showed the world that even in the face of deep wounds, one person's courage can ignite change that resonates far beyond their own story. There comes a moment in every story of injustice when the scales finally begin to tip, when the tide turns and corruption faces an adversary it cannot defeat. That moment arrived the day you chose to stand up, not as a passive observer, but as a fearless challenger to the status quo. It was more than just confrontation. It was a seismic shift in power dynamics. The corrupt official, once confident and brazen, suddenly realized they were no longer untouchable. Your resolve was a shockwave that shattered their complacency. The evidence you gathered, the truths you spoke, and the support you rallied combined to form an unstoppable force. This was a moment charged with tension and high stakes. The corrupt official tried to push back, to discredit you, to use their influence to maintain control. But your unwavering integrity and the overwhelming weight of truth left them with nowhere to hide. It was the turning point where fear began to replace arrogance. Witnesses saw this battle unfold, a confrontation where courage met corruption head on. This moment wasn't just about legal victory. It was about reclaiming justice for those betrayed. It marked the beginning of the end for a system built on lies and exploitation. The match was won because you dared to face the darkness. You became the force that showed corruption it had met its match, and that moment will forever stand as a testament to the power of bravery in the fight for what is right. Power breeds arrogance, and arrogance creates illusions, most dangerous when it convinces someone they are invincible. The corrupt official lived behind such illusions for years, believing their network of influence was untouchable. They acted with impunity, assuming the system would forever protect them. You shattered that illusion with a clarity and force that no one anticipated. Every lie you exposed, every cover-up you unraveled, chipped away at the false image of invincibility. Your work demonstrated that no matter how strong a person's position seems, it can be broken down by unwavering truth. Breaking this illusion is about more than just individual defeat. It's about dismantling the myth that corruption is unbeatable. Your actions sent a message to others hiding behind similar facades. No one is above the law, no matter how powerful. This breakthrough also gave hope to communities long resigned to injustice. When the corrupt official fell from their pedestal, it was a vivid reminder that change is possible, that even the most entrenched corruption can be undone by those brave enough to challenge it. In breaking the illusion of invincibility, you not only took down a corrupt official, you also dismantled the culture of fear and complacency that allowed them to thrive. Corruption is often protected by walls made of deception, lies, and manipulation. The corrupt official's reign was no exception, a fortress constructed with careful planning, where every stone was a lie designed to keep the truth out of reach. Dismantling this fortress was a monumental task, requiring patience, skill, and unyielding perseverance. You approached this challenge methodically, like a master strategist. You gathered evidence, exposed inconsistencies, and challenged narratives designed to mislead. Each revelation was like a chisel striking a stone, gradually breaking down the walls that protected corrupt power. This process was not without obstacles. You faced resistance, threats, and attempts to discredit your work. But your determination never faltered. With every attack, you became stronger, more resolved to bring down the fortress built on lies. The impact of dismantling this fortress was profound. It revealed how deeply corruption had penetrated, but also how vulnerable it was once exposed. Your commitment to uncovering and presenting the truth struck at the heart of corruption, unraveling stories built on lies and deception. Your sharpest weapon wasn't just facts and documents. It was your unwavering integrity and commitment to transparency. You didn't just expose wrongdoing. You illuminated the path toward accountability and reform. Truth gave people the clarity and courage to confront injustice alongside you. The power of truth also lies in its universality. It bridges divides, transcends fear, and inspires collective action. Your use of truth empowered not only yourself but countless others who saw that justice was achievable when lies were confronted head-on. In the end, truth was the sword that cut through corruption's veil, and you were the fearless warrior wielding it to restore justice and dignity. The corrupt official's reign was more than a mere position. It was an empire built on influence, secrecy, and manipulation. For years, This empire seemed untouchable, carefully guarded by networks of loyalty and fear. But even the most carefully built empires have weak foundations. You became the force that brought this empire crashing down. Each revelation, each exposed lie was like a crack in the foundation. The empire that once stood tall and intimidating began to crumble under the weight of truth and justice. The collapse was not just legal or political. It was deeply personal for many who had placed their faith in the system. Watching this empire fall was a moment of reckoning, not just for the corrupt official, but for the entire system that enabled their rise. Your role in this collapse was pivotal. You disrupted a system designed to protect the powerful and defend the indefensible. The fall of this empire sent shock waves through institutions, signaling that no one is above accountability. The destruction of this empire was a victory for all who believe in justice, proof that even the most entrenched corruption can be dismantled with courage and truth. Certainly. Here's the continuation from heading 13 through heading 15, completing the full script with the same rich, engaging style and emotional depth. Every corrupt official harbors a deep-seated dread, not of failure, not of loss, but of exposure. The moment when the truth comes crashing down, unmasked and undeniable, is the reckoning they most fear. You became that reckoning. You were the unstoppable force standing firm and unyielding, the relentless presence that pierced through the lies and deceptions they had so carefully woven. But your confrontation wasn't fueled by hatred or vengeance. It came from an unshakable belief that justice must prevail. You held a mirror up to the corrupt officials' actions, reflecting back the reality they wished to bury. With every truth revealed, their bravado crumbled, replaced by a growing terror that their empire of deceit was unraveling. What made you truly fearsome wasn't just the evidence you brought forward, but your unwavering resolve. You stood tall when others wavered, spoke boldly when silence was safer, and refused to back down even when threatened. This courage sent a message loud and clear. Corruption could no longer operate in the shadows. Your presence inspired those who had been silenced to find their voices. You became the face corruption feared because you embodied the power of truth, the strength of justice, and the unyielding will to protect the vulnerable. The reckoning you brought was not just a moment. It was a movement. Ultimately, the corrupt officials' greatest nightmare was realized, a force they could neither bribe nor intimidate, a force of courage, truth, and relentless pursuit of justice. You became their reckoning, the undeniable truth they could never escape. Corruption is like a disease. It spreads quietly, invisibly, eating away at the core of institutions until the damage is visible and devastating. For years, the rot inside the system was hidden from view, concealed by layers of deception and silence. But you refused to let it stay buried. You became the light that revealed the hidden decay, shining brightly into the darkest corners where corruption festered.